Okay.
No, I think now, is it okay now? Is the face bigger now?
Is it? You send him your number, he'll watch out. ये selfie भेजेंगे आप.
नहीं उनसे पूछने दो यार. Is it okay now? Well?
Yep.
No.
यार आगे
आगे
हो जाओ यार तू नहीं नजर आ रहा.
How about now?
माशाल्लाह.
How about now?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's light in the room as well, so I think so maybe because of that. Okay, guys. So I had already given my introduction, but for you
Twice.
and other newcomers, I'll give my introduction again. So my name is Abdullah, and I'm actually an RC fellow from 2017. I'm from Islamabad, Pakistan, and I actually run a small startup which is by the name of CrickFlex. So if you guys follow cricket, so what we've actually done is that we've developed a wearable technology for the performance analysis of bowlers in cricket. So it's like a sleeve which a bowler will put on his arm, and when he's throwing the ball, he's able to see in real time that at what angle is he throwing the ball, how much time he's taking to complete his bowling action, how much spin he's doing with his arm. So sort of a training tool for bowlers to train so that they can train in cricket. So
hi, my name is Arzish. I'm a community builder from Islamabad, Pakistan, Islamabad and Lahore. I work with a network called Startup Grind. It's the world's largest network of entrepreneurs. 600 शहरों में, 125 मुल्कों में. पाकिस्तान में हम हैं शायद 12 cities में. And we're trying to bring together a Startup Grind Pakistan conference. So that's primarily why I'm here this time, to kind of connect with the diaspora and set up or invite all these people to speak at this conference in Pakistan.
So hello guys, my name is and I'm also from Lahore, and
What's
I've
your
been
name?
Hamza.
Hamza.
So I've been a part of another exchange program called ATX Plus Park. It was between the city of Austin and Lahore. So this is my second time in the US, and I came to know about the fellowship a year ago, I guess, because a few friends of mine, including our senior fellows, go to know Asha, and then through them, I explored this opportunity, and finally I'm here. So my startup is AutoGenie. We are Pakistan's pioneer car maintenance portals. So the basic idea was to enable car owners to get their cars fixed at their convenience through easy online bookings. It's just like you are ordering a T-shirt, and that is delivered at your place. So similarly, mechanics make house calls. They go to your work or home to get their car fixed.
We are not classified.
Hi guys.
no, I'm not there. No, there was like a company today, so I thought maybe just hear from the other side.
Tell us about yourself.
Okay, so I'm Pooja. I'm originally from Lucknow, which is in UP. I studied architecture at IIT Kharagpur, which is in Bengal, and then so I didn't want to do architecture. I wanted to do something different. So I took product management, and after 2 years, I quit my job to start a non-profit, which is called Anthill Creations. What we do is we use recycled material like tires, oil drums, cable drums to build playgrounds for children in the underprivileged communities. So over the past 2 years, we've built around 100 playgrounds now, and we're incubated at IIM Bangalore and supported by Encore. So the next step for us is how do we scale this model across the country? I mean, we're present in 18 states, but we built just 100 playgrounds. So how do we take it to a large scale? So what I'm looking here is just the kind of model that we have. It's got a lot of importance and support in US. Like Kaboom, which is a US-based organization, has been supported by most of the corporates here, or even foundations like Rockefeller Foundations. So not really looking at investments, but more like grants through foundations and connecting with people because the entire core of what we do is innovation and creativity. in each of our playgrounds. So also looking at what other people have done in this space.
Just came today. So my name is Varun Kashyap. I am from Chandigarh originally. I'm based out of Bangalore now, and we run a social enterprise. It's called Let's Endorse. So we run a platform that works with a variety of stakeholders in the social development ecosystem. We work with social entrepreneurs from across the world with the intention to replicate and scale up their solutions across communities in India. We have a network of NGOs who help us to identify local challenges, the habit, culture, behavior of the people, the nuances and intricacies of the challenges that they face. And we kind of match the need to a global or like a globally recognized solution or like a proven solution. And we raise sufficient funds for these solutions to get deployed in our communities. And then data is captured in terms of whether that solution is a good fit or not. And then we try and do it again so that, yeah, we can solve for multiple communities, so to say. So we have a network of 1,500 plus NGOs across India and about 500 entrepreneurs from 35 plus countries across the world. And
So I can see, I'm just going to sit as audience right now. Hi, Akshat and Brijesh. So nice to see you guys. Okay, so you be part of the fellowship now. Okay, you are now, of course.
These guys are already.
They, of course, they already are. They already are. But it's nice to right? So it's nice that this is so good that you guys are Skyping in. This is so good. And somebody's in a tent, clearly. Are you driving?
no, he's in Vrindavan at Akshay Patra's kitchen.
Oh my God, okay. Okay, wow. No, this is very nice. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's Let's Endorse, by the way. This for you to not endure. But thanks for the conversation.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So
who's next?
Ali, why don't you go next?
Hello.
Hey.
Can you see me clearly, right?
Yeah.
So basically, my initial startup was like with the name Car Chabi. So it's basically we started back in 2015. It was a device that connects to your car, and through your mobile phone application, you can basically lock your car, unlock your car, and start your car, and also secure your car. Like it was based upon Bluetooth smart technology. So within the years, we have, by using this device, which we are initially selling to like internationally to almost like 22 countries. So now we have developed a car sharing platform around it. So it's like the world's first peer-to-peer Bluetooth-based car sharing platform. Like if, for example, if anyone wants to share his car to anyone else, so you don't need to engage any other third-party like apps or like hardware and pay them for their GSM costs. So it's just like Airbnb for car rentals. So you just get a device, get it installed, and you just share your car with anyone. And you can just make money out of it, or you can use in a place like this, where you want to share your car with other people, you can do that. And it's like it can also be a model in which like if you're doing a job from like 7 a.m. to like 5 p.m. So your car is making money for you while you are making money for yourself as well. So basically this is our model. So
who is it? Hello. Hi. Hi. Thank you. You can just do it in the dining room.
Yeah, just do that and I'll send you the file right now.
Thank you.
And you tell yes? Okay, all right. Yeah. Bye.
So I think so what's really special is that this group is first of all large, it's very diverse. It's really a fabulous group that has come together as a community that understands, what are the possibilities here, and I think, I also think that we have incredible powerful resources. So how do we proactively look at this group and our joint resources to say, what are the next few sort of frontiers that we should be climbing at some point? That should be at the back of our minds on a higher, at a higher level. But on the day-to-day, while you are here, of course, the key thing is to meet the relevant people. That could accelerate your own current programs. But to remember that this journey is for the next 20, 30 years, right? So it's not just for this 2 weeks. This is a start. This is strictly only the start. Going forward, the longer journey is for where, let's say if I'm in Islamabad or something, then I can talk to Arzish and Amina to say, how do we set up a maker festival there? How do we connect that maker who's making clean water with somebody in, let's say, in Trichy, right? So things like that. And then start connecting the dots. We don't have a platform yet, but I'm thinking maybe something like what Varun's platform is Let's Endorse. It can put together a lot of NGOs and a whole bunch of things that together and really scale things, So far we've been doing this fellowship in a way in which you guys were the nodes. But I think now that we have such a large number of alumni, what is so powerful is just the sheer level of talent, the diversity of talent, and the different places that we come from. And for the first time, we are the non-state actors who could actually perhaps even start a conversation between India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan as to saying what would some sort of a collaboration in, let's say, blockchain, what would that look like? Our governments can do whatever they want, right? But I think we can actually perhaps set up a platform or a discussion where we are asking what would a blockchain collaboration look like? This is very unusual and we should do it. Who's there to stop us? We already have 2 collaborations with the deaf hearing company for the deaf, and the second one is the e-board, the electric bike company between Bangalore and Gujranwala, right? So we already have these collaborations going on, and what happens next we don't know, but at least we are kicking those off. So.
And then we also have Shayan's example when there was a Kerala floods.
Yes, yeah.
Just having that network.
Yes.
Or through WhatsApp.
I know.
And magic happened.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there is some really good stuff going on. I'm also thinking, Amina, that it would be good to have some maker hubs that, looks like somebody like Zartaj is already working on stuff like that. Having maker hubs which can talk a similar language.
Yes.
So let's say, that we create some maker hubs in our parts of the world where there are just similar few machines, whether it's just 3D printers and laser cutters, then we start talking about if somebody is developing a prosthetic arm.
Yeah.
Or now with the kind of sophistication with even biotech 3D printing, there are organs that people are printing out.
They have a heart has been printed out, yes.
Is it?
Yes.
And I think there's a functioning liver that has been,
Even with stem cells, they've produced heart.
Yeah. Kidneys and stuff like that. I think in Wake Forest University on the East Coast, we already have we 3D printed a kidney based on the person's stem cells, right?
Yes.
So their own stem cells have grown, and then we created a kidney. So the technologies are all there. I think the collaborations can create a powerful network, which it's just and why Valley. Yesterday I drew a diagram. Who did I draw the diagram for? For you guys. I think Varun and all came later, right?
Yes.
Do you think we should do that again?
We could do that again.
Do you think we should? So that maybe we can even pull up some chairs on that side, Okay, so the reason I'm doing this is so that we all again are on the same page on the kind of resources that can be accessed if we got a bit more organized. Right now we are working as a unitary loan. Now you guys are doing your own thing, I'm doing my own thing. But I think if we get a bit more organized and have something unifying us, I think we could really do some wonders. And with you guys, if you can collaborate, can you imagine between GU and Let's Enroll? That could be another massive. Okay, so first let's just quickly give. I'm going to give you so that you will be on the same page. Quickly give. Jani, take notes of this and write it down, so that we can also share it later. With the full 200.
Right.
Okay, so the venture. First, let's see the whole. What is the VC ecosystem, right? I think what's happening is that. So first, I'm just okay. So if just in terms of relativity. So let's say this is the US, right? So this really is an 800-pound gorilla right now in terms of the size of the pizza. The pizza of the US is about this size, and then there is China, I think, and then perhaps India. That's that. And then there is, many smaller countries that are part of this. Now, since this is an 800-pound gorilla, we do have to keep an eye on this. Of this 800-pound gorilla, what is the biggest part of the pizza?
Technology.
Hmm?
Technology.
Yeah, so the GDP, this is California.
Yes.
California is funding rest of America.
Yes. We don't.
So the taxes we pay are funding. Would you think anything is happening in Mississippi, Georgia, Atlanta, Detroit? Nothing. Those economies are dead. So this is the only thing that's driving right now the US. So there is East Coast. Of course, there is, East Coast, Chicago, and those things are still ticking around. But this is California. And in California, the largest pie is still the valley. Okay, so this is Silicon Valley. And then there is a little bit of LA, which has got Hollywood. And then, or between LA and San Diego, that is, we have defense, right? So we have defense and biotech, right? So the larger context is this. So this is why plugging into the valley, which is really the largest share of the US market, is a must. Now, one question a lot of people try to ask is, why is it that in the valley, the level of, innovation is this high? Frankly, we don't know. Not yet. But everybody's been trying to find out. Right? Everybody's been trying to study it. There are dissertations, PhD dissertations done on this. There are, faculty research done on this. There are university research. Norwegian government comes, spends 3 years trying to find out what's the secret sauce. We don't know. But I think the secret sauce is something to do with, confluence of the 1850s and that time, the gold rush. That happened. So the kind of people that are settled here is just the DNA is that of do or
One
die.
example I would like to point out, written at Galapagos Island,
Yes.
the amount of diversity they have, the genetic, so many species there, just because of the right temperature, right weather, and just in the middle of the one, just Galapagos so Galapagos is a good case study, good example of the Silicon Valley.
That is true. That is true. So okay, so now as we get to this, right? So this is the valley. Now valley, so I was just drawing a diagram for everybody yesterday. This is just my kind of approximation. But let's say if this engine, so let's say this is the valley, right? This engine is moving at, again, I in terms of innovation, it's 5,000 miles per hour, right? So it's a rocket. It's going up at 5,000 miles per hour. Growing fast, right? And I think as it grows bigger and as innovation becomes the hub here, it is a hub here. What's happening is it's feeding into each other, and it's a beautiful, positive, sort of a snowball that's creating the speed here. In my own book, I would say, so valley is probably at 5,000 miles per hour. The second would be Boston, New York, and the whole East Coast, right? So that would be probably at about, let's say, 150 miles per hour.
So our final main talk for this.
Okay, let's say this Boston and New York and all are moving at 150 miles per hour in terms of innovation. Hey Chandni, where are you? Sit down. I hope she's taking, okay. So then that's Boston, New York. I would say in terms of speed, probably, China is now beginning to innovate. Let's say at 120 miles an hour. Feel free to disagree, huh? This is my own kind of a hack approximation. Okay, and then I would say maybe perhaps India is slowly beginning to innovate. Now this is something that bothers me, all of this. This bothers me, that now here is the thing. Guess who's driving the valley?
Indian.
It's the Indian, our Asian diaspora. The Chinese, the Indians, the immigrants are driving the valley. The foreigners are driving the valley. And there's a beautiful article by Mike Moritz, who's on the on the board of Google and Apple and all these other companies. Mike Moritz from Sequoia Ventures has written a beautiful article on say. And then there is a whole bunch of other countries where, like in Africa, whole of Africa. Tell me, where is the innovation? Is there anything we can do? I mean, here, I'm coming from Africa recently, and I'm aghast. How is this even possible? The humans have the same brains, the same. How is this? But what is even more problematic for me is that the Desi diaspora and to some extent Chinese are running the valley. They founded the companies, they're running the valley. ये कैसे हुआ कि we have nothing coming out of our own countries? Oh, hello, hi, Harnath. How are you
Hi,
doing?
how are you? Good seeing you. By the way, this is Harnath.
Nice.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome all board for this inspirational, what do you call, endeavor.
Harnath is a veteran from the valley, one of those mentors that we must absolutely leverage. So welcome and thank you for coming, Harnath. Longer run, that's a question to keep in mind for those of you who are going to go back. Which is how come the same people, once they get on a plane and come here, they're going gangbusters, right? And the same people in India, they are not able to create that. Why? What's going on?
They say infrastructure for some reason. That word I heard many times. I'm not related to that, but
It's a freedom of the mind, you know what I mean?
they say that.
It is just freedom of the mind, and over there the whole system weighs us down. Not just the bureaucracy to hey, but I think the whole system weighs us down, including families.
Yeah. The first pressure starts at home.
I mean, one of the biggest, problems I have is things like log kya kahenge.
Yeah.
That is, I think, the most toxic phrase I've ever heard.
Social construct is a big challenge.
Yeah. So I think that as we go forward, it's important to understand that first of all, it's crucial to plug into the valley because it's why not? We must plug into the valley and ask them for help. On the side of both back home countries, right? Why is it that what actually, at least to some extent, flipped one or two switches in India? It was the diaspora going back. When the first generation, 70s and 80s, after they took their companies public, made some money, they decided we're going to go back and do something. That's where a lot of that interaction between Infosys, Wipro, and that. Unfortunately, our government did not allow us to do anything more than Infosys and Wipro, which in my book, even though they are big companies, they were that first generation of IT, they were body shops, which is, software engineers sitting there and writing code. And we were still, just taking orders from the West saying, kya karna hai. For the first time in the last 2 years, now the internet companies are outsourcing R&D to back home, which is huge. The challenge you guys have in Pakistan, Taj and all, is to the diaspora has not come back yet. You guys have to woo the diaspora back because unless that happens, outside venture capital is not coming. You don't want just internal venture capital. Internal venture capital, kya kare? This is oil companies. I met some angels in Pakistan also, but they're very wealthy families. But there are 25 families in Pakistan that are running the country also, I think, in terms of their...
Yeah.
22 families.
22.
Huh? 22, it's called
22.
22 famous families of
22 famous families. But that's leather, sugar, maybe oil or something, but I'm not sure. But,
Yeah.
and they're good. I think Ali Mukhtar, who is from the Fatma Ventures,
Right.
he's one of the best people that I've met in Pakistan. I think he's really the young and he knows what needs to be done.
He went to UPenn and he knows stuff, but how
He's
things
good.
work in the US.
Yeah. He's very good, and I think so is Shahriar is also very good. Shahriar Ali is also very good.
Yeah.
And then I think people like Babar Ali and his wife, the people who started Lums, they by the way lived 5 houses from me in Atherton. So those guys, their granddaughter is in WhatsApp. So they are all now beginning to understand the importance of of the freedom of the mind and how do you start on. People are struggling, but I think in Pakistan the struggle right now, the challenge right now is for you guys to attract some of the diaspora back. Okay, so you must do that. While you are here, that's the most important thing you should be focusing on. Everything else is secondary right now. Meet them and say, look, you guys have to be, we'll host you. We will host you. Okay, make friends with the diaspora, they need to be back. And so now on another sort of higher this thing. So now venture capital. So that's okay. Let's know venture capital. What is the whole ecosystem of venture capital? What happens is that for like states of California, for example, right? Let's say there is a California pension fund. Right? We're looking at God knows 2 trillion or something, right? pension fund, then we are looking at, police pension fund, some sovereign fund, Saudi Arabian sovereign fund, Singapore by law, especially US law, they have to spend, I think, 2 to 3% of their money. They have to put that money into venture capital, at least by US law. I don't know about other places. I don't know about Middle Eastern sovereign funds, but so like Singapore sovereign fund, massive, right? They want to invest. They have to invest.
Just venture capital.
2 to 3% only. So they have a lot of things. I mean, they have to invest in things like, let's say, oil and natural gas, or California pension fund would be looking now, since so much money sitting there. So let's say there is 400 billion sitting in some venture fund, right, or in Harvard endowment. This endowments are that huge, right?
Yeah.
So let's say there's at least 20,000 such entities. Look at the amount of money. Just US and maybe some EU, right? So fund of funds. You see more fund of funds in your Swedish fund of fund, Swiss fund of funds. I've run into so many, it's not funny. All these guys are sitting in a big pocket. Now, they need a parking spot. Where do you park that money? So that it earns you 1%, 2%, 3%, right? They have to do that. You can't just have that money sitting in the bank, right? So they are constantly looking for a parking spot. Good news is that most of these people have 1 to 2 to 3% that needs parking in a venture fund. Even that amount is huge. We're still looking at billions, right, that are looking for a parking spot. So if you had, 20 billion in your pocket, you had to find a parking spot for it in a venture fund, where would you go looking? Has to be value. Why? Because they have to show returns. And which funds in the valley are showing returns? There are top 10. So let's say Valley has, let's say it has got 50, venture funds. So at the bottom, so there'll be, and then there are 3 tiers. Right? Top tier would be, so this would be about 10 funds. So all this, so let's say just Singapore, Singapore sovereign fund. Let's say it's looking for a parking spot in venture. Of this, let's say if they're putting just, well, they're trying to put 3 to 4. Singapore is slightly different. Let's calculate how much would be 5% in Singapore. So, 20? 20 billion. Okay. Now Singapore. Singapore is now, so Singapore venture fund people put on suit, tie, fancy shoes, and they land into San Francisco. Now they are knocking on doors. They are saying, mere pocket mein abhi, I have 20 billion, and my government has requested that I put this 20 billion into venture. So what happens is they say, kahan park kar? So like everybody else, they say, park in a place which is going to make us maximum money. It's that simple. So they'll first go and knock on these top 10 VC funds. And which ones are those? Give me some names.
Sequoia.
Yeah, Sequoia, Kleiner, Excel, Greylock, right? These are all the top VC funds. So they go knock, knock, knock. They'll say, look, we are good people, and we will bring you this. So when they go to, let's say they go to Sequoia, right? This is the real ecosystem. You guys need to know this. And they knock on the door. So somebody like Mike Moritz, Doug Leone, all those guys will be sitting there and having a meeting with these Singapore government fund. They'll have they'll take out some, donuts and cookies and coffee and all that. And along with Singapore, there is Harvard endowment, Stanford endowment, MIT endowment, CMU endowment, all coming in with 3 to 4 or 5 billion in their pockets. They're all trying to get into Sequoia. They're all sitting in that meeting with Doug Leone and Mike Moritz. And perhaps that older gentleman, I'm forgetting his name, Pierre Lamont, and all these guys. Gaurav Garg and all. Okay, so now there's a table, there's a big table. This is really how it happens, it's a big table. You guys are sitting there with donuts and coffee and all. On that long table, there's a whole bunch of endowments and sovereign funds and all. Saying, आपका जो next fund जो है ना, उसमें we need to put in some. Now they'll say why. They say why? Because first of all, their own partners have their own capital now because they are all into. They've all invested in some of the top companies here, so they have done extremely well. So partners themselves. So let's say they say we are going to raise another fund, venture fund. Typically, what's the size of a venture fund?
50 million, 100 million.
That's in
50
India.
million and all is no 50 million all yes that's more in India. But I think when we or in Pakistan but I think in a larger system like here, let's say people have now started going up to about 4 to 600 million to keep it respectably small. Remember the challenge is how do you keep it small? Because all these guys want to park their money into Sequoia first. So I would say these are, the names. I would say, in fact, come here, somebody who wants to write down for me. Write down here the names. Sequoia. Then there is SEQ. Yeah, Sequoia, Accel, ACCEL, Greylock. Oh, hello. Hi, Pranab. Come on in. Come this way. Sorry.
No, it's
I'll just. In fact, we might start using Pranav right now. But Pranav said that. Okay, so Sequoia, Accel, let's say Kleiner Perkins, Greylock, Menlo Venture. Right? Huh? Yeah. Okay, so there are all these good funds. They're raising only 400 million. They're saying, sorry, we don't want. Now this coffee table with big donuts and all, everybody, they're saying, just maybe 500 million at least. They have 5 billion to park. Usme se, these guys are saying, no, so sorry, we cannot. So what happens is that Sequoia and all these guys, normally they don't take funds from big pension funds. Why? Because there is documentation needed. They don't want. They don't want a headache because they know they are the best. So once this part says no, then these guys go to the second tier of venture funds. And that would be some other ones, which USVP and some other venture. Let's say there are 20 of those funds. They're raising, let's say, 600 million each. Still, that's not a lot of money that they're raising because these guys have to park so much more. So, ye log kahan jayenge? Once these people say no, they go here. Once they say no, then they go here to the fourth tier. And fourth tier is typically in other cities. So in Boston, in Houston, in Chicago, and things like that. Why are they fourth tier? Because the ecosystem is not there. It's not as strong as here. That's the truth, If they can't find parking spot there, then they'll go to another VC fund saying, where else can we go? Then they'll go to Israel, India. Israel actually is a very hot market now. But India, maybe Pakistan, maybe people have started investing in Pakistan. Also, I think there's some good funds that are coming out there. And they'll go to Dubai, they'll go to Hong Kong, things like that. But your job is to go back and strengthen your ecosystem now and get to know this ecosystem. So you're saying, bhaiya, parking spot chahiye, we can give it to you. We can, and then you can say, why we can give it to you? Because we are plugged into the valley. If you can't get into this door, don't worry. Our companies are getting funded by some of the top valley VCs. So now feel free to park in our venture fund. Right? 5 years from now, that's what you should be gunning for. 5 years from now, this is where you should be gunning for. Because you are saying to them, so let's say that Varun does take you, or let's take, by the way, has had a big exit to this and that. But let's say Pranav says, bhaiya, main to abhi India mein, and he is going to India. Pranav, you are taking a one-way ticket. I'm very nervous. Where are you?
Yeah.
I'm getting very nervous now.
4 days from now.
Oh God, oh my God. Why are you bailing from the US? What's wrong with you?
No, I'm not bailing. I'm going there because that's where the start
actions. Your action is there. So okay, let's say Pranav, who has already had an exit, finished his PhD from Stanford, right? He is doing a company right now, and it is called
Wings EV.
Let's say Pranav now says Wings becomes the next Kareem. or so let's say Wings and Kareem and these guys now are saying, wait a minute, we already got funded by these people. This is very important. If there's any confusion, ask me a question. Ask me to slow down and repeat. Is it crystal clear to everybody? So let's say Pranav and Mudassar goes back. They go back to these guys who need a parking spot. And they say, hey, listen, we were already funded by these guys. So don't worry, parking spot chahiye, we'll give you a parking spot in Pakistan and in India. Because you are already showing an exit which is around here. So leverage it. This is why I think you guys are probably the highest right now, sort of potential getting small funds in your own area, because you're saying we have interacted with these guys. So your goal should be that in 5 years, like Varun's company can easily get funded by something like this. Because this, it's already growing fast and maybe Karjagi and so on. So once you start showing these relationships, right? 5 years from now, you should be gunning for your own venture. I need you to know this is very important, and you should be keeping that as a focus. Arzish, you very much can pull this off.
Absolutely.
You can pull off a fund of your own in 5 years, given the quality of startups that you're already working with, Same thing with you, Rahul. Okay, so this is crucial for you all to understand. Akshat, your company, you should come here for fundraising, for this one, for the Sequoia and all of them. Anyway, so after this, I'm going to talk about this later, but I want Pranav to tell us a little bit about his own history, because this is one of the, he's already done some incredible stuff. So Pranav, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and, what you have done? And so I'm sorry, I'm just leveraging you like crazy right now. I can come and sit somehow. Then you can come here.
You can come.
Sir, you can sit here.
Sorry, I wasn't expecting to.
No, I know. But now that I've called you here,
Sure.
after your talk, we'll go outside and talk.
Okay, sure, sounds good. So, just a quick introduction. My name is Pranav Dandekar. I've been in the US for 15 plus years. My background is entirely in software, like I guess a bunch of you here. I worked at Amazon many years ago in Seattle, came back to school at Stanford, did a PhD. Based on my PhD work, I did a startup with my PhD advisor, who is good friends with Asha. His name is Ashish Goyal. So Ashish and I did a startup where we were doing identity verification as a service. So it was sort of a fintech e-commerce thing where the observation was that the vast majority of fraud is done by fake identities. So people create fake identities, commit fraud, and the identities then disappear. And so if you can tell the difference between investor is a big supporter, and then just as we began to see some traction in terms of sort of successful pilots and sign-ups with the likes of PayPal and Stripe and Square and so on, we sort of got a acquisition offer, and initially we were very reluctant because we were like, well, no, let's go build this thing, right? Like it took us a while to get some traction. Now let's not give up on this. But then so the sort of we got acquired by Stripe, and then their sort of pitch to us was, well, why don't you come keep doing what you're doing inside Stripe and use Stripe as a distribution channel, right? Because Stripe works with merchants. A number of those merchants we were already talking to independently, people like Lyft and Care.com and so on. And so it sort of made sense. And so that was about 2.5, 3 years ago. And so I was at Stripe for 2 years, integrated the acquisition, brought down fraud losses at Stripe by 40-some%, and then decided that, well, all the while I was thinking about what I wanted to do next. And so, long story short, I left 6 months ago, already have started working on my next gig. That is in India. We're building a small personal mobility electric vehicle.
Okay.
So it's nothing like anything I've done before, and it's kind of scary and exciting, right? And so because the startup is there and it's like we've already begun work on the vehicle development, I'm moving to India in like 4 days.
That's
So-
fantastic.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's so exciting. I think once you do a startup, it's impossible to do anything else. I know, I think one cannot stop. There's no way, because this is so exciting. It's so, and I think if this, Pranav, and I'm absolutely certain it's going to change the way people work and move around in India.
That's the hope.
Oh God, I'm so sorry. I should have started earlier. We'll start early tomorrow. So tomorrow at 11 in the morning our time, we have a person coming from Acumen Fund, okay? So you might want to call in.
11:30 a.m. 8 p.m. for them.
Yeah, so she'll be here at 11. So just call in, okay? Okay, Harshvardhan, quickly tell us what you're up to. Harsh is our, fellow that I discovered from our Maker Fair in Ahmedabad in 2013. And since then, he has become too famous to pin down. So tell us what you're up to.
It's a very basic story. When I was 9 years old, 10 years old, I was interested in electronics and technology, doing the things what I probably like. So I started my journey at the age of 10. I used to create projects, robots and stuff. So ma'am would probably know the projects about. And used to participate in very interesting fairs like Maker Fest in Ahmedabad. And from that, my journey started. I founded a company, founded an organization called Robots of Globe at my school. After that,
And he found his co-founders in high school.
yeah. So after that, I founded a company called Aerobotics 7, which focuses on aerospace and defense-based products, projects, and solutions we provide to international defenses. My first and the final right now, which we are working. Defense operations